In an ideal world, when we turn up to a new location to take a portrait, the location is going to be free of clutter, with high ceilings, an abundance of light, and lots of options for shooting. This makes our life easy. Unfortunately, the reality is that many times you're going to find yourself in a location like this. This is a typical home, and often it's cramped and cluttered, and it's difficult to find a good space to shoot in. So what I'm going to show you in this tutorial is what to do when you're faced with a location like this. So first thing I do is I do a recce of the whole space. So we can see the garden here. I looked around, not many options there. We've got this little glass house here. Lots of light, again, not many options. And when I look around the room, at first glance you might think, well, this isn't going to work either. There aren't any real options here, not many clear spaces. However, with the right lens and the right lighting, this can be transformed into something that looks very cluttered into a beautiful, simple background. So, what is it that I'm looking for in this instance? All right, so whenever I've got a cluttered location like this, there's a couple of things that I'm looking for. Firstly, I want to position my model in an area where there's good light. So I wanted to keep it simple in this instance, and I'm working with daylight. So it was an overcast day, but the sun is obviously behind the clouds, and that's pumping light in to my model's face. So this is a great location. So I've brought my model into the doorway and positioned myself so that I've got enough space to get back and be able to shoot this portrait. Secondly, because I'm dealing with a location that has so much clutter and guff going on, I really wanted to simplify it. So what I'm looking for is that depth. I want to be able to have my background as far away from my model as possible, because when I shoot at a shallow depth of field, that's going to go out of focus and then create an interesting background. Also, I'm looking at little details like these slats that are coming through the door here. They will make beautiful little highlights in the background, and any little lights that are on inside, I turn those on because they also add that little pop of light that turns beautifully into bokeh. So you get that nice background where it's takes out all the detail when you shoot at a shallow depth of field and creates something that looks quite simple and beautiful. So I'm just going to do a test shot. So I've got Rob in the doorway here, so focusing on his face and letting the background go. I'm going to have to get him to drop a little bit lower so that he's the same height as my model. The good leg workout, Rob. And so I want these like lovely stripes here in the background to just completely throw out of focus. And so we'll do the first shot. So that's it. So we'll just get a focus. You're going to have to be a little bit lower, Rob. A little bit lower, even more. There we go. Just come across a little bit. There. Available light at 100 ISO. I'm shooting at 1.2 at a 15th of a second. And that's looking actually really nice. It's probably a bit hot, but the background is quite beautiful and dreamy and creamy, and it's just a way of making something out of nothing. So that's probably enough. I could leave it like that because it's like nice and warm. I was actually going to add a light in there. I don't know that you need one. I probably am a bit over on this face. What I can do is actually just go up a stop or increase my shutter speed and have a go and see what I get. So I'm going to tweak and play around with that and see what I get. All right, so I've increased my aperture to f1.6. Skin tone's looking a little bit better, but I think I can do better than that. So what I do is I want to keep my background nice and blurry and out of focus to minimize the clutter. So I'd like to keep my shallow depth of field, and what I'm going to do is go up slightly because shooting at f1.6 for a portrait is a bit risky. Now f2 is a bit better, and I've also increased my shutter speed to 1/60th of a second. But what you'll notice now is overall the image is very dark. So what's the workaround? I want to keep my f-stop at 2, shutter speed at 1/60th. What I'm going to do is I can increase my ISO, and now everything is looking really good. I'm happy with this. So I've tested my lighting, happy with the results. Now I can bring my model in. But before I do that, I want to just have a quick chat to you guys about the focus points that you're going to use when you're using such shallow depth of field. So what you want to make sure is that you definitely have the focus point over the eye. But what you'll notice is when you're doing such precise, wide open work like this and you want the eyes to be sharp, it's risky to have the larger focus points. So because you can see that when I've got the focus point over the eye, it's actually focusing around the eyelashes or around the edge of the eye, and you're not actually getting the actual eyeball in focus. So what I like to do is make my focus points smaller, and you can do this with most cameras. You can actually adjust the size of the focus point. So rather than being 1 point, it's much smaller for more precise focusing. So I've reduced the size of my focus point, and now I have that focus point over the actual eyeball, not the eyelashes or the entire eye. And that, I find, when I'm shooting wide open like this, helps a lot. Yeah, but I think the brushes look great, don't they?
Just hold the brush.
Yeah, I think the brushes look great.
Yeah, so I'll take this.
Yeah.
And you want to just hold on to those?
Yeah. I think he looks fantastic. That's it, just a bit higher up. Yeah, that's great. Fantastic. He's fanned them out. A little bit higher if you can. There, that's great. Love it. That's looking really good. And just a fraction lower. Yep, perfect. That's great. You got your little Mona Lisa smile going on, which I love. Yeah, yes. A couple of things going on here. There is silly banter to keep the model distracted. I want the reactions to be authentic, so I'm constantly saying silly things, chatting to them. And secondly, I'm giving them visual cues, areas, people to look at, things to look at, so that their face and eyes are constantly moving. And all of this is about trying to create an authentic response, authentic reactions. That's great. Just look at Jessie again. Just look over at Jessie. That's great. That's great. That's great. Love it. Love it. Love it. Eyes to me. Yes. Eyes to me. Beautiful. And just at Lynn now. Look at Lynn. Can you see right behind me? There she is. There. There. And back to me. That's it. You share your love around. That's great. That's beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, just drop your hands for a sec. I'll just check those. Another important thing, never be afraid to stop the shoot to check the focus and the exposure. You heard me just tell everyone, all right, just take 5. I'm just going to check those. This does not make you look incompetent or unprofessional. It's quite the opposite. All professionals will stop, slow down, and check and double check everything, because it is Much easier to stop the flow of a shoot and just take 5 minutes to check everything's looking right than it is to have to go back and reshoot because the eyes weren't in focus or something had gone wrong with the exposure.
Again, just flick over it, Jessie. That's it. Just keep looking there. That's it. Eyes to me. Eyes to me. Great. And just straight past me, straight out that way. Yes, great. Just head down just a little bit. Just head down and head down. Just chin down. Chin down. That's it. Eyes to me. Oh, that little wicked smile. My God. Fantastic. All right. All done.